Right, we're live.
Yep.
Very nice.
Should be.
Cool.
Should be good to go.
All right, right on. What's going on, Lee? How are you doing, dude?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
Doing good. I am super excited to be watching a killer GLC match tonight, with two of the homies playing, in a very cool matchup. Like one that I'm willing to bet most people have never seen.
Completely agree. Curse Kiss is an up and coming deck. Big endorsement from Andrew Mahone, amongst others. Even Sliggoo in their group is really high on it. Metal Control also an archetype that you know only Sliggoo could bring to us. Um, you
Yep.
know, I'm super excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Sligo has been working on this deck all season. And Sligo is a student of the game for sure. If there's one thing I can say about Sligo, he is after it all the time. I mean, after every single game he plays, he is taking notes and he makes reports in the strategist. And so that way, every little thing is documented and that list can get refined and refined and refined
Gentlemen,
and
you're good to
refined.
start.
So I am so excited to see like where he's landed today, to bring it to such a like fun tournament and important tournament in the async playoffs. So that's going to be gnarly. Um, I know that we as a team have put a lot of time into Curse Kiss, and I am also super proud of where that where we've landed with it. Such a strong archetype. Let's see, Lee. What are you thinking? Spence is wanting to do here from a Curse Kiss perspective.
Well, frankly, I think you need to get out of the gate. We know that Spence has multi-prize capability and snipe capability with Duskmore. I think
Mm,
that Spencer needs to find those kind of plays and not leave anything on the table before Sligo can kind of weather the storm and find cards such as Metal Goggles and Berserker him early and whatnot. I think that as long as he just kind of and it's funny because you don't really want to overextend against control, but this is you're really going to be looking for the turn one boulder attach and really just try to overwhelm Sligo.
sure. Yeah, and it looks like they've actually already started.
Yep.
So
Just had them get
um,
going after you guys kind of briefed the matchup. So,
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it looks like Sligo went first, and he got down a polka doll, and he has the Berserker. Now, he did not get any of the other support Pokemon down that I'm sure he would have loved to see. So a little bit of maybe a slower start. But with him starting that Galarian Meowth, I mean, he is threatening a hand rip turn two, which can be super devastating, really, to any deck, but especially a deck that revolves around um, hand hand numbers, right?
Oh,
So you love to see it.
yeah, for sure. Couple cards that Spencer's playing Poffin right now, doing a deck search. I see Boulder on the board, so that's good. I think that
Mm-hmm.
Spencer really needs to be mindful, like you said. He's going to be holding cards, and Berserker's trying to take them away. Um, we know how important holding resources can be for Curse Kiss. Sometimes you Marnie and you have to match hand size, so you can't play things such as like Rare Candy and Toad Kiss or something like that if you find it, or you're gonna miss the Iron Boulder attack, assuming you don't hit like
Yeah,
Letter or another thing to bring your hand back up to that magic number.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, you said it right there, right? Like, there's such a interesting give and take in this matchup, because nothing is essentially safe on Spence's board. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
from energy to even cards in his deck, because Sligo is playing Handiwork, and then you also have the Berserker, and that's gonna be putting him, Spence on a big timer because it's like, what's the right play? Do I hold this? Do I go ahead and maybe miss this turn of attacking with Boulder so I can make sure that I get my, Toga Togekiss out or I get my Glade out. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he navigates that. I agree with you. I think that he needs to be on the offensive big time and just start putting a lot of pressure, especially since Sligo missed the you know the initial like support or like filling his bench with the guys he wants. So
Mhm. Yeah, see, Spencer just played letter, and we were talking about this a little bit before too. Spencer only plays 8 energy. Three of those are special. We did fit letter into Curse Kiss, but there's only 5 basic energy, and that's assuming everything is available. And
mm,
the only recursion is Tulip and Night Stretcher for energy. So at maximum, he can pick up 5 basic energies. So stuff like playing the letter and having to hold one, and Sligo having access, maybe he has reversal or counter in there. I think that it makes a very interesting angle from Sligo where he can energy deny him and kind of just lock him out of playing the game. Because Spencer's going to have to find those 2 very specific cards to get energy back, and he might have to overextend finding them.
yeah,
Letter, like I said, Letter's already accounted for right now, and he's going to be holding at least one. So Sligo flips one heads off the Berserker.
yeah, that could be it. And we see the D Valley and the energy attached. So
Oh my
if he has the
goodness.
pivot, I can't quite make out how much. Okay, so we see a filch. All right,
Yeah.
so it's Sligo's turn here. Let's see if he can set up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, I think right now Sligo's like really probably wanting to get the Berserker on board and start attacking those resources, as well as start setting up maybe Archalodon. Yep, and there it is. That's fantastic. The Evo Soda is such a great consistency card. I am a big believer in Evo Soda.
Yeah, we knew you would love that.
Yeah.
We've seen Spencer play Trainer Mail. I couldn't quite catch it, but I might have seen Mysterious Treasure. So we know that Spencer's holding at least an energy and treasure. That could kind of make things shaky going into this next turn if Sligo can hit a couple heads here.
Yeah, for sure. There's an argument for only grabbing one psychic off of the letter too, again
Absolutely.
to preserve those resources. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. You know, I could understand the argument for grabbing two, but also I might only grab one there,
Yeah. And we
knowing
see
what we're
how
about to
Spencer
see.
has to play around this because Spencer can't just put down or can't just hold the Dimension Valley in a situation like this. I didn't love the play until I took into consideration that he could just discard that if he finds it.
I think Lee, we just saw a fail on the Evo Soda,
Oh no!
which is,
Wow,
I mean,
that's big. That is
yeah,
huge.
that's
We
heartbreaking.
know. Yeah, I think that if Dimension Valley stays in play here, Sligo plays Parallel City. He plays Crystal Cave, and I believe he plays another stadium. So there's definitely a few outs to bump it, but yes, Sligo could be in trouble if he is unable to do much more than what he's doing without the Berserker here.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a
it's
tough angle.
Yeah, it's super tough. The other stadium, so it's Artisan, Crystal Cave, and Mount Cornet, and
Oh,
Parallel. So he's got four. So he
that's a
it's
lot.
probably a high chance he has a bump.
Absolutely.
Um, but we do see an escape rope,
Mhm.
which
I think that helps Spencer out. I'm not gonna lie,
yeah,
unless if we see was there's not been a supporter accounted for, right?
he has not played a supporter this turn. That's correct.
Okay.
Um, I'm sure Sligo is wanting to preserve the Galarian Meowth as much as possible, but
Hmm.
I unfortunately without being able to see in his hand, I'm not quite sure um, what the angle is here.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
just
yeah,
to take something of note for you guys, from our perspective, we cannot hear what the players are saying. I really should have the um, setting to video participants only, but I don't. So there's a million people on my screen right now. So after the first game, I am going to change that. Um, Spencer promoted the boulder, correct? Yeah, he did. Okay.
yeah, that's correct. Okay, so we see a Escape and a Hex. Okay.
Okay.
So that could potentially just slow down a Dustnor play, if somehow he hits the nuts
Spencer
here.
finds the escape rope, slams it down. Dimension Valley's still in play, just needing an attached retreat here. Assuming he can match hand size, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dimension Valley stays in play. That's huge.
Okay, we get the second energy attachment, which is that a pass?
Did he just attach the pass goals?
That's what it kind of looked like.
What it looks like.
Yep. It's
Maybe
interesting he
wasn't
didn't go
able
to the Mimikyu and
match the
filch
hand.
more.
I think that's smart still. If you're not able to match the hand, you're saying that Dimension Valley plus a Plumeria doesn't get you out of the game here. You can still be like on the offensive here.
Yeah. I think what Sliggoo showed though was that there is no Berserker. So
Absolutely.
If I'm Spence right here, I would feel very comfortable going into Filch to draw some more cards to get a setup, and we have a VS Secret for Hex again, just like a pass. Because again, tools are a very important resource in this matchup. Count is playing quite an interesting Pokemon in Malmetal, I believe, and it does 250 damage, which is absolutely insane. But you have to discard a tool on it, and in order for Spence to do that with Mimikyu, it's kind of slim pickings for him because he's only playing 2 tools and a float in a Evo Soda. So, I mean, he definitely has the mystery energy, which is really strong here. But it looks like there's another pass.
Goodness.
All right, 10 cards in hand, or no, maybe just 1. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so Sliggoo, he's playing very smart. That's a whole nother part of this matchup that comes into play. It's like, hey, like I might be able to like burn down my resources and control you from ever attacking just from
Absolutely. Yeah, the best players, especially control players, will identify that. Okay, Boulder's like how you win. How do I prevent that, or at least mitigate it as best as I can? And without cards like Curlia and Xatu out right now, it's really hard for Spencer to find the plays that he really wants.
So we discard the Dustmore here. It's an interesting one for what what would you be looking for right here with Quick Ball?
I do not see Curlia or Rolls. I'm sorry, Natu. Yep. That Natu is also a card we were talking about a little bit. There's a lot of things. Well, by a lot, I mean the Reverver mainly, but a couple other things. Natu after a Dustmore hit or even a Dusclops hit can take 2 prizes on its own, like without the Togekiss. And I think that's going to be a strong angle to take.
He wanted to take, a 5 prize turn tonight in some combination with this Natu. Funnily enough.
Yeah, and guys, that's the one card in me and Spencer's Curse Kiss build. That's different, and it's only because I don't own it. I think it's a fantastic card, especially with the likes of Dusclops and Dustmore. You can really just do some silly stuff. Looks like we have 4 energy. Half of Spencer's energy are accounted for, and not a ton going.
Which is pretty crazy, especially like dropping the Natu. Like you could almost make an argument to hold that energy to like if you happen to draw into the Xatu next turn, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But again, cool. All right, so we do get the Poffin, so Count's going to be able to play the game, which I'm sure Spence doesn't want to see that. But if he starts seeing cards, then Spence might be able to match hand size again.
Absolutely. I think something to take note of too. Togepi has a attack that shuffles and draws a random card from your opponent's hand. No, Is that Togepi?
Let me look it up real quick.
I hit Spencer with a similar thing. I evolved into a Floette, and I shuffled away his Chorus Tenacity when he was playing Drago Box against Turbo Fairy the other day. So, like, little Prevo attacks can matter.
Yeah, Absolutely. He is playing the whiny voice Togepi, which lets you, for 1 energy, shuffle a random card back from your opponent's hand into their deck, which is, definitely not the worst thing that you can be doing
for
while
control.
you are, dead drawing, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe how long this Dimension Valley has stayed in play, if I'm being honest. 4 stadiums? Man.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, but he has only had 1 card in hand. And seeing the Gladion there is huge, right? So, like, he can start really going after that hand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Assuming that's what he grabs
a pivot out of this. So even if Spencer's able to find a play that matches hand size here, Sliggoo's gonna have, access to that exactly.
Did we see what he grabbed by any chance?
Was that?
Did you see what he took off of the Gladion?
I did not.
Because there is a world where he doesn't grab that, right? Like, he could need another resource versus that. It still looks like Spence has so many more cards in hand than Sliggoo.
I'm not getting the best read on it. I want to say 3 or 4, but I mean, when you're playing with around a 0 or 1 card hand, it's really hard to, and especially against control, because you don't want to overextend, but you do kind of want to. And there we see a filch from Spencer.
Filch, yeah. Which, honestly, he could have been filching this whole time. Mm-hmm. If he could have even started filching since probably last turn is when he dropped the psychic on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have really liked to see him find like a supporter or some sort, because Sliggoo's, like, even if you have to play a Judge or a Marnie or something like that, you really just want to be taking prizes.
And there's the bump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because inevitably, right, the more time that you give control, that's kind of the game that they want to play.
Yeah, you want to end
all
it.
About the time.
Yep, and there's the Duraludon, so we're about to start seeing, Sliggoo might shift into some offensive pressure here too. There's a world where, with the 180 HP of the Archaludon, where he can apply so much pressure, that combined with Metal Goggles, preventing the damage the damage counters from Dusknoir. I mean, we're looking at least a 2-shot lead. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Spencer's going to have to find the field blower at the right time. The Metal Goggles, I think, is the X factor in this matchup. Without Dusknoir, it's just Kiss. It's not Cursed Kiss. That's taking out half of the deck strength. Being able to protect those assets, and a guy that naturally you just can't 2-shot, or that you just cannot 1-shot anyways.
Cape pulls a cape. That's really good. That's gonna put Spence at a weird spot too. It's like, okay, am I gonna have to answer this cape, or Spence knows that he's playing Goggles, which, I mean, you want to save it for Goggles, and then also taking more prize cards off of a Luxcape Pokemon is not a bad thing. But it can just make your life obviously way more difficult depending on the scenario. So let's see. We have an attachment to the Duraludon, and Duraludon has a great attack. Like, oh my gosh, are we going to see a knockout on the Togu?
Yeah, Togepi has a weakness here.
Yeah, which is huge. So he can accelerate energies potentially while taking knockouts. That's just such a strong way to excel your board and to get ahead.
We know Spencer's had all this time to build up his board, but there's not really a whole lot to show for it, if I'm being honest. I mean, nobody is evolved. You do have the 2 energy on the boulder. You have an energy potentially for the Mimikyu.
Yep. Well, you know what though? I mean, this is pretty important that Spence is like seeing this, is that there is a Duraludon in the active spot that has does have the cape. So there's a world where he can take the blower here and knock out the Duraludon, and then also have the same turn where later on he can gust up the Duraludon again
Mm-hmm.
and knock it out before it becomes the Archaludon, where Goggles doesn't matter. So this could be huge if he hits blower here. That might be the only, I think, argument where you could save blower. But hitting in, we know that Sliggoo does play uh, Cape and Acerola, which control
Here
decks
we go.
love to be
Buckle
able
up,
to
boys.
stall
Team
like
Ace
that.
is on the table. I mean,
We do have,
the world is his right now. Spence
yeah,
has
and
a lot of options off of his teammates.
a reminder too is that the Dusknoir is in the discard pile.
That is true.
Mm-hmm. So if he uses Stretcher, that's a resource down that he can't get that energy back is huge. That's kind of
We
a
do
win.
play both stretchers, so assuming that he has to play the rescue, that would feel a lot better than having to grab the night stretcher. Looks like he's set on one of those cards. I couldn't quite catch what it was. I don't love him showing what he's taking either. Are you guys getting this?
Yeah, the notification.
Yeah, Sliggoo has in his hand. I think that potentially saving it is not the worst play. Spencer has not taken a prize, so that's one thing he actually has going for him in the front of like worrying about like the reversal energy plus like Archaludon knockout. So like I wouldn't even hate swinging with the boulder this turn and then just kind of seeing like what you have next turn.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, Sliggoo's not going to take the Dusknoir off of his board unless if it's a gust. Like the Sliggoo wanted to get it out of his hand into the discard pile. And that's kind of what going into the matchup I was worried about. 3 stage 2 guys, inevitably something you're going to be holding. You're going to be holding a stage 1 guy. You might have a stage 2. So like really avoiding those turns with the Berserker and being able to like evolve is probably the best thing that can be doing. Like, and I know that sounds cliche and obvious, but setting up your board and mitigating the damage that the Berserker could be doing is really big. So I'm not sure. I think, and see, attaching to the Mimikyu of the Sense, kind of confirms what I would be doing here. I would just sit up. Well, here we go. He's thinking.
Yep. This way he gets to save the blower.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Oh, okay. So
Whoa.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I love that play because he's not going to knock it out, and all Sliggoo's going to have to find here is just reversal energy, and he's going to take out. He's going to be able to take out the boulder.
Yeah, and just a reminder that he plays counter and reversal energy, so there are high outs that he has that. And
that
Spence
is true.
goes ahead
there
and
is an energy already on the Duraludon.
Yeah, Spence goes ahead and commits that float stone too, which it's kind maybe it's at the point where he has to do that to match hand size, but again that's playing right into what Count is. I mean, if I'm Count, I'm seeing that, I'm licking my chops. I'm like, cool.
Absolutely.
Like that's one less thing I would have to worry about with Malmetal. So
yeah, especially with so many energy already committed to the board, that's going to be something that's going to have to be mindful of. We know Letter is accounted for. We just seen Fog Crystal having to grab the Ralts.
Yep.
Not a whole lot of ways to just go grab the energy when you need it now. So I think that's a very good point. Committing to Floatstone. Not gonna say it's a bad play. It feels a little bit of an overextension though. Like being able to take out the Berserker there, like Sliggoo would have no way to rip it out of the hand per se. Maybe unless if there's something I'm missing there.
No, I think it's kind of like a hiccup, because I don't, with two energies attached to a Duraludon, I think that is screaming you're about to get hit with Archaludon.
Absolutely. And I think
And
that's all Sliggoo has, and I think you have to be able to identify that. I would have really liked to see him deal with this route on this turn.
yeah, so we have a 160 because of the damage reduction from the special teammates.
Of course.
Yep. So we're definitely gonna see a knockout.
Being able to respond with Mimikyu is okay, but you know, 2 energy committed to it, 1 in the bin mystery, and 2 on the boulder. I'm not sure if there's any other that are accounted for, but you're gonna be looking at having to find Tulip yesterday to be able to keep the pressure on, because Mimikyu is fantastic, but it's not a proactive attacker. Mimikyu is only as good as what your opponent's doing.
Sure. And without Togekiss in play, like you're really, really falling behind here.
Absolutely.
Because, well, Count can kind of like, we see the baby Malmetal drop. So we see that that's getting ready to get powered up. Cornet too. Yep. So your extra energy.
Yeah, saving the reversal for the Meltan play later is going to be huge. We know that Spencer only has the evolution TM to be able to copy that big 250 attack after this. And I think that's going to be something that we need to watch looking forward here. Yeah, we knew one of those was going to be Duraludon. Interesting to see what other card he grabbed. Was it? It might have just been straight up the Meltan. It might have been that important.
Yeah. Also, the snipe on the Berserker, was it still a basic?
Yeah, it was that was a Meowth. Yeah, he only had a 60 HP.
Yeah, because I think earlier, like just again, I didn't see what Count like pulled off of it, but I would just at this point just assume that he's still in the prizes and he kind of gave up on the hand rip. So that again goes into like really feeling like the knockout on the Galarian Meowth was maybe not the best choice, because right here he could have already had that Duraludon, I think, knocked out.
Yeah, maybe he's being mindful of saving that field blower, maybe for Metal Goggles, but you kind of got around that play there. You know, weaseling around it. It had his choice of target. You know, he could have grabbed field blower, could have grabbed, you know, a couple different things, but electing to go hit the 60 HP guy when there were signs that he was prized. I think that addressing the Duraludon would have been the better play, because I'm not sure what Count would be doing this turn that just passed if that was addressed right there.
Yeah, and with the with like still having like the boulder in play, like you have a less
Here we go,
option,
Tulip.
right?
We just talked about that, finding Tulip at the right time. I just said he needs to find that yesterday. And being able to get the Togepi back here also is good, but Spence has to be mindful with the energy that he has down, one of them being Mystery. You can't just go down slapping anything you want in play. That's where the game will be lost. So cards such as Wobbuffet with cards like Mystery Energy and Flowstone accounted for. And even to a sense, the Boulder, you can kind of lock them out of the game and make it, bring it to a point in time where they're not going to be able to. I'm sorry, what was that? That was a clairvoyant sense the Ralts.
Yes. Yeah, so that tells us he's going to try to go with the Mimikyu right here.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I would have really loved to see him say that other energy, though. I'm not exactly sure how many cards are in this point in time are in each player's hand, but
What's our prize count too, guys? Can one of y'all give me a count?
At prize count, it looks like we're at 3 to 4 prizes favoring Count. Yeah, and see, right now Count's trying to decide because he doesn't have like an immediate follow up. Okay.
oh no, Spencer. Yeah, Spencer has 3. Because he just took 2 off of the
the cake.
luxurious
Yeah,
cake.
that's
Yes.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Honestly, if I'm Count right here, I would be considering. Yep. Okay. I was gonna say I would start considering going into like a Dialga spam route and just like starting to hit the energies, especially seeing that Spence attach the energy to the Ralts. It
Mm-hmm.
tells me clear up. Like okay, like if I hit an energy here, D Valley's gone. So like the resources to be able to keep on attacking with Boulder or Mimikyu, because Mimikyu is not going to be doing too much. But Spence can get some important resources back too. That's a whole nother fun interaction. Is Mimikyuing the Dialga.
Absolutely, I love that play actually. Spencer being able to get back at this point something like the Tulip, like
Rare Candy.
the Tulip, the Rare Candy. I think the Rare Candy could swing the game if he is able to search that out, because we have 2 things on Spencer's board that are able to be candy next turn potentially.
Yeah.
I also really would like the Tulip, as you said. Count could be going into an energy spam angle or energy denial spam angle, and Spencer could really protect himself by grabbing a card like Tulip, or he could be more aggressive. I believe that said 9 cards in Spencer's hand. Is that what I'm seeing? I see.
Let's see.
6.
Yeah, I see 6 and 3.
Yeah, so Spencer, it leaves you thinking what kind of cards he has in his hand. We know he has stuff like Lusamine and potentially like Gladian unaccounted for, field blowers unaccounted for. We know that he has at least 4. I'm sorry, 1 more basic energy in the deck. 4 are accounted for. So yeah, that's one thing definitely Spencer has to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to get a lot of value out of this next turn.
Yeah. It's actually feels like anybody's game right now too, which is really cool. Especially given like the crazy start that they both had.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's pretty wild that it's like, both people have kind of stabilized a little bit. Even though Count can start doing that, he has a lot of energy that he has to attach in order to attack. All his attackers require a good bit.
And notably, the prizes are tied right now, 3 to 3.
Yeah.
So reversal isn't just getting you in there right now.
Yep.
I'm sure that's evident by the basic metal attachment to the Melmetal. He did find U-turn boards, so we could potentially see Count be able to respond time and time again with the Melmetal here. If he gets just 3 manual attachments, that could be trouble. Especially
Well, he is playing the metal saucer, so he can.
Ooh.
Yeah. He can get in there a little bit. Yep. See, speak
Is
up.
that what just happened?
Yeah, he played the metal saucer.
Wow.
Boom. Yeah, so now he's really putting Spence on the clock.
Can anybody see what tool is on Dialga? Is that the metal goggles?
Let's see. It is goggles.
Goggles is committed. Okay.
And look, we have a psychic resistance, it looks like. on the Dialga.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
Dialga does have psychic resistance.
Which that might come up here.
Yep, coming up.
Yeah, so
Pokey Dog gonna
so
run
that
back.
tells me that Count is like about to go into this reoccursion game where he is banking on
There we see the floatstone get hit.
essentially not getting knocked out, right? Like if he can prevent the hand from Spence like matching hand sizes, then he is in a good spot because with that resistance, Spence's attackers aren't getting there. So he's going to be able to Acerola loop it. So Spence really wants to find Blower and knock that thing out ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the resistance. And the Metal Goggles also does minus 30 damage. Dialga is sitting at a natural 130 plus the 30. Minus the 20 from resistance is enough to push it out of Iron Boulder range, and that's huge.
That's massive. Yeah.
Huge.
So again,
I also think that Spencer has to be very careful of what he does here with leaving the Mimikyu in the active, because I believe Count grabbed Versus Seeker back, but so I'm actually not sure if the Melmetal could attack next turn, but if the Mimikyu is to leave the board when the Melmetal is attacking, I think that spells trouble for Spencer.
Yeah, and Count did get the Field Blower, by the way.
Yeah.
And so now that's gonna put Spence like, really on the back foot with making sure he promotes the right guy. But right here, Count, I'll tell you right now, Count's kind of in this lane where he can really fall back on Acerola looping. And then, because what he effectively has 180 health, right? And that's just not going to happen with Spence's board. So Acerola is about to go live, and that's going to make it really, really tough for Spence to be able to match hand size because Count can also have access to the Rever Room. So, like we're saying, like he can go up to 6 every turn.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Even rebenching the boulder and committing to it's risky because with the Rever Room on the board, you can kind of play around that. Without the Ralts and the Zawtooth both, it's going to be a lot harder to get to 6 consistently.
A play I would really like to see Spence go for, and especially if he has access to like using the Dialga's play a few times, is straight up going into a Wobbuffet and getting a KO that way. I think that would be really cool to shut off like the draw, if he's having a hard time, and maybe getting a really good disruption play. We're
and we're seeing a Marnie now from Spencer, so that's going to make it easier to match the hand size, but I think the optimal play, like we said, we're really looking to take that opportunity and get a card back here. That would be what I would really like to see from Spencer here.
And then also giving Count another turn to like get his resources in order where he can start using Plumeria and he can start using Faba if he needs to, but doesn't look like Faba's doing too much right now.
Okay, that's huge right there. There's an attachment. Oh, he's coming for it. I'm not sure if Spencer realizes that that's not a knockout right here. Yeah, no. Yeah, I that was what I suspected too. I did not think Spencer seen that was not a knockout. I'm surprised Count didn't catch that either.
Are we sure they've moved on? Yeah.
Okay.
Logan, I don't know if you can step in and tell.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like if we step in, I don't want to mess up the sound and whatever.
Yeah, no. Hang on. Hey guys, was the damage right for knockout right there? Can you guys just check that and make sure?
Does the Dialga have a psychic resistance?
I thought it did.
All right, good deal, boys.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
grass. It's grass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's on us. I apologize.
Yeah, and here we thought that was such a masterful play from Count,
Yeah.
because the math really would have been.
Yeah, no, they mapped it out
really
for
would
me.
have been crazy right there, right?
That changes absolutely everything.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Count
Yeah,
said
so
that he had
we make
effective
you on that
150.
foot.
150 HP effective
Mhm.
in that instance.
Yeah, so going through the list just to confirm for the future, the only Pokemon that is resistant to Psychic is Jirachi.
Jirachi.
Yeah.
Yep. So I should know that from playing Egg Mill against against Count as often as I have. But anyway, yeah. So we have an Iono from Sliggoo, and that's going to be a reset to 2 to 3. It looks like.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna lie, Lee, if we can get a Reverum draw over here, it might be looking a little tough for Spence to match hand size. And that's a lot of resources to be able to move that boulder out of the active spot.
Absolutely, and if I'm being honest too, if I'm Sligo and I can find the Melmetal attack here, I'm telling Spencer you don't have an energy and Evo TM in your 2-card hand.
Yeah.
And guys, just to let everyone know, the notification that we got was that the call may end in 15 minutes from when we got it. I think we're getting close to that time. Hopefully, we just pass it right by and the call continues to go. I did some things on my end to, make it to where we have extended call. But if it does go down, then we may just have to restart the call. But the stream will stay up, the tabletop will stay up, our cams and volume will just go out for just a few seconds till I get it sorted. But no biggie.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, yeah. I think it makes sense too if he can to like come in and start powering up the Malmetal with the Duraludon as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I know that Togetic at this point has also has a metal weakness. It's funny. There's a couple of them guys in there. Notably the Ralts, Togepi, which we
There
already
it is, by the way. He's got the counter
counter energy. Okay,
Boom.
so yeah, we're seeing that
on the U-turn board, so he's going to be able to spam that over and over and over again, which is just such a cool combo.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the attack cost is metal, colorless.
That's correct. Yeah.
So Count's just going to need one more energy, and he's just going to be swinging with this all game.
And
Spencer,
he has
2 cards in hand. We know that he needs an energy. We know that he needs the only tool in his deck, Evo TM, at this moment.
It'd be insane.
Yeah, he would be a sack for sure if he found that play here. Gear.
All right. That's a start.
If he finds Arvin, I'm going to flip this table over.
Well, he still needs the energy.
Oh, yes, because, well, you could grab the Night Stretcher at this point, but that's grabbing.
Oh, yeah, Stretcher. You're right.
That's grabbing with Tulip down. Going down into this.
All right, Lucamine. Get back D Valley.
Yeah, that's just not going to quite do it, though. Still needs the tool. How many, Yeah, he used Reverbroom, took a prize, so I'm not sure that Spencer's getting up to that hand size of 7 here. With that many energy accounting for, we're not going to be seeing Clairvoyance Sense make a big factor. I believe there's only one that is potentially still in the deck, if it is available. We do not see Curlius, Refinement. We would have really loved, I think specifically Arvin would have been.
You know, the
Then
attachment on the Ralts is really hurting Spence right here.
yeah, and you identified that right away. I completely agree. That could have been another turn of clairvoyance sense. That could have been, um, several things. And maybe Spencer had cards in his hand that were going to, because I know that we've seen like Marian and Iono. Maybe he was thinking of like another player, whatnot, that may or may not have been just taken out by that, or maybe something else came up. I'm not quite sure.
If he cannot get the knockout this turn, I would really like to see a Lusamine for for Tulip and D Valley, and then maybe sack the Ralts.
I think that's a fine play.
Because like you get, okay, we got a Marnie, so he's gonna try to Iron Boulder it, and that's probably a more consistent way of dealing with it than trying to find that one tool.
I see that. Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Versus Seeker's still out for Spence at some point this game too.
I believe he has not used.
I believe it's counted for. Mm-mm.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! It was in the hand the whole time, boys.
In the 2-card hand. Boys, this is crazy. This is crazy.
What a
Stop
sack!
it. Wow. I know
Holy
Count
cow.
has to be beside himself right now. He
Wow.
did everything he possibly could have to prevent a knockout of some sort. He Iono into Revavroom, finding, an energy off that 3 to play around the boulder there. I know he has to be sick. That is
I would be
insane.
Disgusting.
I would be hot for sure.
Yeah, that was definitely the
insane
play of the night so far.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, so where does Count go from here?
Did Spencer just roll a coin? What was that?
I didn't see.
Oh, maybe he was like humoring us if he had Togekiss there.
All right, so we do have the reversal, which is huge.
Reversal Duraludon. This is going to get sketch.
All right, are we about to see a parallel? Oh no, he bumped
the stadium, the D Valley.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we want to see a hand disruption here. If we're Count and we want to pray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure.
Off of like being able to see like a metal energy to draw up with Revavroom.
Yeah, absolutely, it'd be huge. Looks
or
like just an attack.
He's already. Yep.
It's an attack.
So that makes me think.
Well, he already knows. Okay. So he knows he has Marnie.
Mm-hmm.
And he has 180. So all Spence needs to do is come up and pop him with the Ralts for 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know how Count's going to excel 2 energies to it.
Right.
Because they're tied on prizes.
Right, tied on prizes now. So that reversal is essentially a colorless energy.
Mm-hmm. One prize to one prizes. We find Blower. I'm not sure. Oh, it's the Floatstone. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So we see Valley Stick.
I almost would hold the Marnie here, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
I would not play that.
Pointed out, being able to force the hand size match next turn and fixing the math with the Ralts, ironically, would just won him the game, assuming he has a card that he could have played.
Now, that being said, you also can just come up here and cash in on the damage with the Iron Boulder, and Sliggoo's still in that same kind of spot, except he just has way more cards to kind of work with than just.
I would just hate to see like and I'm not sure if Sliggoo plays like a Malon. I know that Acer Roll is in the deck, but that's a little bit counteractive.
Yeah.
Are we seeing a retreat?
Yep, that's what we're gonna do. So cash in on it now. discard check of some kind. Hoffman to Curlia. Heavy ball to burn. Or no, heavy ball off the refinement.
I would have really liked, honestly, to see Spence keep that as a Ralts.
Yeah, because it just is one energy,
One
like
energy.
KO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now you give Sliggoo a little bit of hope because we've seen a skateboard accounted for. We know that Flowstone is accounted for. The only thing that's not accounted for, to my knowledge, is Guzma.
No, he
So
still
that's going to be
has
the one out that Spencer's going to be looking for going forward. But by kind of putting that liability, and this is hilarious calling Curly a liability at this point, but it kind of is, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Let me see the energy, so we are going to be able to fill the hand with the Revavroom, get at least one attachment down.
Being tied on prizes, what kind of play is Sliggoo looking for here? Do you think
that's what I'm looking for right here. I'm like,
surely he can't just be attaching. Is he just gonna?
He might be banking one because he can draw with Revavroom.
Yeah, maybe banking that Spence can't get to
maybe
6, but
the doll. Like
I would like to see like another hand disruption if possible, and then a draw up in an ideal world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I feel like seeing the letter committed now, you're probably not looking at.
Yeah, he doesn't have the
disruption. Yeah, playing Cynthia and Caitlin here.
Well, so he's expanding the hand that way, banking that Spence can't do it, but also a Gallade and supporter, to match hand size could get there too.
Right.
Absolutely. You just I know we've seen Marty play twice, but there's also Judge in the list.
Sure.
And
yep.
Yeah, Judge can just get right in there and win next turn potentially. You have Clairvoyant Sense and you have Refinement, so you're going to be able to see at minimum 3 cards, and if you find an energy, you'll be able to see 5 cards. And if any of those 5 cards are delayed, if the Iron Boulder is not addressed here, I think that's just so Spencer would need Guzma and energy at this point now, and to match hand size. Asking a lot, but last turn after the Evo TM Lusamine play into the return Melmetal, I wouldn't put it past him. Looks like he just drawed into something you'd like to see. Just tapping a couple times, pondering if that helps him there. And yeah, there's the Evo Incense. I think the only 2 energy that are unaccounted for at this point from Spencer are Reversal and 1 basic Psychic energy. So not only would he need Guzma, he would need the energy to also retreat. We know that Rope is gone. We know that Floatstone is gone. Tulip is also gone. So
he does have 5 accounted for. 5 basics accounted for, which it looks like that's all he's running.
Yeah. Okay. So literally just Reversal energy at this point. That's kind of scary.
And I'm curious if okay. So at this point, I'm curious why he's not just slamming down that and Judge.
Yeah, I think that Spencer may not have the well, the doll is in the active.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's why
we have to go through around this doll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doll coming in clutch here.
Looks like we're refining the way of the Toad Kiss.
It's crazy. You just need too much, I think. Right?
Yes, that's asking a lot. I would have really liked to see the buddy catch.
Did we say if Stretcher was accounted for yet?
I honestly am not sure.
Did Count get Guzma? Yeah, Count got Guzma back.
Yeah, he grabbed the Guzma off of the Sin Lin, so I think that. Yeah, does Spencer need to win this turn?
Yeah. Or disrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah, because we know Count has the other energy,
right? Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that's 140 is the max. Well, actually 160, but that does not survive a Urchalon attack anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Spencer's in a position here where he needs to find the energy and the Guzma. You're joking. Where's the reversal? Even if he doesn't have it, well, no, yeah, he would have to because he knows that Sliggoo has Guzma.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. He knows he has Guzma in hand. And now can't disrupt the hand. Capture was not accounted for.
Okay.
And now,
where's he at hand size?
He matched the hand.
Yeah, I don't think so, or else you'd just be slamming it, right? Just a pass.
That's a...
Yeah, Sliggoo has the energy. Yep.
What a game.
Yeah, what a game. That was absolutely a fantastic game. And I'm going to be honest, like, this is pretty fun being able to commentate over with the boys. Not going to lie. I'm having a blast.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome, too. It's going great.
I'm having so much fun that I actually need to pat my head down because I'm sweating and I need a drink. So I'm going to take a moment to go ahead and get a drink real quick.
Yeah, you can step away. It's perfect.
All right. And we're still streaming right now, right?
Yep, everything's good. Everything's working.
So some interesting things to note from match 1 is that both players kind of had some weird starts, and Sliggoo had probably a slower start, I'd argue.
Yeah.
But it still came down to being able to prevent the Togekiss from being in play.
Right.
Like utilizing the weakness, which was huge. But Sliggoo did not do hardly any control stuff.
No.
Which is like pretty fascinating. So I'm curious. I would assume he could just do a rinse and repeat of just the strategy of forcing up the big guys, and kind of making Spence like have to have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
But there is a world from a control standpoint, I think, where he could have locked in on the fact that he was running out of energies and started pressuring his energy resources. But,
and there's something to be said too now that he's won game 1, that now he can flip the script and go into a very control-y style of play, and really just grind this one out.
Yeah, they might not even finish. Do we know what the timer's at right now for the?
Nope, not sure on that one.
And look at that, we got a Poffin turn 1, which you'd love to see it. With a Galarian Meowth start as well, which is just pretty. Again, if I'm Spence,
gnarly.
That's not necessarily the starter I want to see. But on the flip side of that, he does have an Iron Boulder start, so
right.
I know Count is probably sweating a little bit looking at that. Especially, it's not unheard of to get a D value and a psychic to like take a knockout turn 1, and Spence could really turn up the heat that way by just like keep on knockout, and he could. Okay, so we do see him go straight for the Mal metal setup, which is pretty interesting. No Jirachi. But the energy attachment there is really nice because it shows that he is threatening the Berserker, which again, depending on Spence's hand and flipping heads, there's a lot of things going there. Oh my God! Look, we were just talking about it. D Valley, psychic knockout, but that does leave Spence open to a reversal, uh, Malmetal game.
Yeah, that would be an insane way to go out.
If yeah, because he has to have the Malmetal, but teammates.
Yeah, teammates just grabs those 2 cards.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, he would need the tool also, but I mean, a starting hand of cards is 7. Drawing a card for 8. So
Yeah,
So he
definitely
pulls
a
it
chance.
up.
there's a chance.
I'm trying to right now. I'm gonna look up what the basic does to see if there's any.
I think it searches for a tool.
Well, that's kind of neat. Let's see.
70 HP milk.
Yeah,
I believe it
search
has 1
for
retreat
Pokeball.
also.
Arvin. I mean, if he has the reversal, then that's it.
Yeah. Evosoda U-turn board. That's
So
a great
he
sign for
could
Spence.
potentially be missing it and grabbing the Revervoom to draw. And by doing that, he could potentially get out of. Okay. Very interesting. So no fighting, or sorry, no metal energy.
Looks like he just wants to play around it for a turn.
He might be holding a reversal energy in hand, or like a way to get it in hand, but might need like too many pieces to grab it off of one supporter.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You playing Tenacity in the list and Guz Mahala, or just Guz Mahala?
Let's see.
I believe Tenacity is in the list.
So there is no Tenacity. It is just no. There is. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Tenacity and Guzmahala.
Escape rope from Spencer.
Oh my God, that's
Wow.
brutal.
Talk about just having everything in hand.
Yep, with the capture energy too. Like that's
Yep.
Yeah, that's
glorious.
fantastic. You could not have wanted a better energy to go there. That's a great point. Being able to just get another body down here.
And he really doesn't even need to play the energy down. I'm guessing he just has to play it down to thin the hand to match the hand size. So just an even further advantage. The D Valley's still in play.
Yeah, because he went up +2 cards with taking the prize in the
Yep.
draw. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think Count is super on the back foot here.
Yeah, I know you guys were talking about time, and I think that's a big thing here for Spencer. If he can close this out really quickly and give himself a chance in Game 3 to just play another game, right? Because I believe these are 90-minute timers. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, 90 minutes.
And I'm sorry if this has already been addressed. I had to step out. There's only 90 minutes in a best of 3, and with control, taking like 40 minutes kind of feels like winning like a game and a half, right? Because you really make your opponent have to play fast.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. If Count can stabilize here and find a way to, really hit Spence's hand and slow down the aggression, I definitely see a world here where this game can go to time.
Yeah.
He can definitely put the pressure on the resources that way and slow Spence down in his tracks.
Yeah. Melmetal KO off of this escape rope is huge there, though. That was absolutely the best case scenario for Spencer there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think Count just wanted to end it really quick, and he was super aggressive in getting that getting the evolution off of Arvin, where there is a world where he could have tried to set up a little bit more.
Talk about extending all the time, like
Mm-hmm.
overextending, trying to identify. And I believe that it's even harder in these webcam type games to identify, your opponent having a weakness, because at any point in that couple of card hand, they can just have it, and you can't.
Yeah.
You're not going to see their face. You can't see their reactions to what they're doing and drawing. So it's tough to get a read.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Yeah, reading. I mean, just from like talking of experience of playing the cards like since 2011, there's so much that body language tells you, and people's, like you said, like you're sitting right in front of them, you see their initial reaction, and that goes like a very long way.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially as a control player. But having outs to attack, yeah, that you could have imagined. You seen as soon as Count drew his card, I seen him visibly shake a metal energy. So that means that he. And again, I don't have access to the audio of the players, but I think that he was very, very close to responding to that boulder.
I see Count has not played us. Yeah, he did. He played Cynthia Caitlin.
Yeah.
So here he's banking everything on Spence not having a hand match card. Because he drew a good bit, but bro, that'll help you get there.
Arizu can just hold a couple cards here.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just
I think that's
big
what
plus.
Game.
Yeah.
That's what. Yep.
Counts
I
him
think
out.
that's what's happening.
Oh my goodness! See,
Wow.
This is exactly what we were talking about. You just want to be able to like hit the gas in this matchup.
Play bang.
Pressure.
Absolutely.
Pressure.
Boulder, we see how strong that can be,
awesome.
Even without the Dust Snort, even without the Toga Kiss. Iron Boulder, one of the premier basics in this format. In a type like Psychic, you just have every tool in the box and just arrays of matching hand sizes, drawing cards, accelerating energy. You could really see the strength in just the Boulder there. Boulder taking game 2 for Spencer.
Yeah, so if I am Sliggoo right here, I am wanting to probably try to go that route that I went game 1 and just kind of like start attacking with my big guys again. I don't know time wise if you have enough time to go fully into control.
So that's what I was looking at. We're probably sitting somewhere around that hour mark. So we're probably sitting somewhere around that 60 of the 90 minutes.
Okay. Well, you know what? Honestly, maybe there is a world, but Sliggoo would have to play like at a lightning pace.
Right.
And I will say that his deck is not, from a control standpoint, his deck is not super great at milling fast.
Right.
It likes to set up like a board state where, it might have something trapped, or like it might have, the opponent having no hand, and then he can start going after it. But it's not a deck that's super strong at just, starting from the top and just milling over and over and over again, like maybe some of the other resource, management control decks can do.
Yeah.
I even like low-key would love to see from Sliggoo, like you hitting the energies over and over and over again, prioritizing. But the problem with that, with his list in particular, is he is only playing Faba and Plumeria, and so the Plumeria would be super wearing on his resources to be able to reoccur that every turn. And even though he has draw with a River Room, like he can fill his hand up to discard those cards. But I mean, you're talking about hitting so much over and over and over again. I think his routing here and what he has favored, like in game 1, makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
just put the pressure on with weakness. And I mean, Curse Kiss, it can be clunky, right? Like it's playing 3 stage 2s to some degree,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like so, there's a world where Spence bricks here. Not trying to speak that into the match, but there is a reality. But we do see a level ball, so that's a start at getting going, which is pretty important.
Yeah,
And,
I'm curious to see if he has the Boulder Surge Plus energy this game too, because that was one thing that was kind of carrying Spencer the first 2 matches. Having a Boulder and energy down, turn 1 going first is terrifying.
yes,
Um, I would even compare it to the likes of turn 1 Okie Dokie attach. I mean, because you're threatening 170 the second turn into the game, first turn you can attack, and with
yeah, I
just
think
giving the pre-volves, like that's great and all, but I
yeah,
think that's definitely something that has to be noted if it doesn't happen.
yeah. I find when I play Curse Kiss, like my optimal turn one is our goal number one should be like Iron Boulder energy, and then like you said, like start setting up the prees. Um, just because I feel like so many decks can struggle just with a turn two Iron Boulder, or
Absolutely.
turn one Iron Boulder too.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget Guz Mahal is out for Spencer going into next turn. He can just grab something like I mean, assuming he has like a search, you can just go grab Dimension Valley, Retreat, and Mystery, and just be like, "Sorry, Doug, I got it
Yeah,
in 1 turn instead of 2."
yeah, really pulling up on those boys.
Here we go. We see Boulder and the attachment
And
right on
attach.
cue
Yep.
with the pass. I mean, I gotta say, like, another fantastic looking
Turn one.
opening turn from Spencer. Absolutely.
Oh, and we see a tag call from Count. You love to see that as a control player.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you want to see Guzman Hala, you want to see Cynthia and Caitlin. Um, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So Count's not playing capture energy, but he is playing artisan, so he'll
Mm-hmm.
definitely be able to last longer than next turn.
Yeah.
Um, and I think right here, I don't know if there's a world where this happens other than attaching floatstone, but I kind of would like to get the Duraludon out of the active spot.
Absolutely. We've seen how important that was, the 180 being able to force Spencer to swing twice and or use the Dust Nord to take 1 knockout
Yeah.
is absolutely something that can be troublesome if you're trying to take over the game, right? Ideally you'd like to Dust Nord, Dusclops, take something out and then attack into the active. But when you have to use both of those resources to like take 1 knockout, that's when it can kind of wash the value.
All right, so he got Guzma Hala. Did he get Cynthia Caitlin off of it?
I did not see. I seen he discarded Marnie and Tenacity though.
Right. He could just be again playing super defensively, trying to lower that hand size, which is always a really strong sign of a great player.
Absolutely, yeah. The great ones will do that. They will make sure that, and even preemptively grabbing the reversal. I'd imagine.
Yep, here
Okay.
we go. Hopefully you can see like a little bit stronger of a setup. You're getting to save the skateboard for the Jirachi, which is cool. Um, and you're really the only thing I don't like or that I really want to see is another Pokemon down because we do not want to see another escape rope.
Yeah, that would be devastating.
Yeah,
Stellar
so
Wishing,
hopefully we can get
though,
a
to be
search off
fine.
of here.
Oh boy. So we are live for the escape rope again next turn.
Yep, definitely a little scary of a place to be, but maybe he's still holding on to another search. In hand, I'm not quite sure what's in his hand at the moment.
Yeah, and even as it sits, like you would kind of need to find the escape rope and do that if you were taking that angle from Spencer, because you're not going to want to just come up with the boulder and swing here, knowing that he has evolution and reversal in his hand.
Yeah, that's very
You would,
scary.
you'd really just walk right into the play.
All right, so we.
Oh, the shield energy is big too there.
You know, the other painful thing about Count's turn is that he did give him access to Artisan as well.
Mm-hmm.
Artisan's such, and then we have a tag call from Spence as well, which is awesome. Artisan, I've found, actually, I have lost a game to Count because I played Artisan. Last Async Playoffs, we played a game, and I have, every time I play Artisan, I think of him, and I think of, you know, do I really need to play this card? Because it's such a easy card to see and just like slap down. But I think there really is some strengths in holding Artisan sometimes, even if you're not getting that extra Pokemon in play.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be so, it can be so much better just to hold it so your opponent doesn't get to use it. So like finding that balance of like when to play Artisan is always a fun skill to see, you know, how like great players like, you know, Count or like, you know, others will navigate that.
Mm-hmm. Did we find Kuzma Hollow off of that tag call there?
I don't think so. I don't even know if he really searched his deck for it. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. He must have searched and did something. Maybe he doesn't notice that he has Artisan yet. That's another thing about webcams. Sometimes it's tough to
These stadiums.
Yeah, absolutely. And stuff like cards in the discard pile too, because like it's a gentleman's game, right? But you kind of like have to. I know at the full grip 3K, I picked up my opponent's discard pile several times. I'll just reach right across and be like, "Let me see that," and that's a little bit harder of a task in webcam. Sure, you can ask your opponent, but you know, like I said, it's a gentleman's game. You don't want to be like pestering and whatnot. But in an atmosphere like this in the async playoffs, this is a high stage. You really want to be, and especially against control. Nonetheless, you really want to be being mindful of every single out.
Yeah, you could really be I don't know, saving yourself like some better odds. Like
Is that Arvin? I think that's no. I thought I'd seen Arvin.
Can't see it.
I think it's like in the middle. Arvin could. I was gonna say Arvin could have grabbed escape rope. That could have been something. Not sure how many cards are in each player's hand at this point.
Yeah.
But like I said, I would be really hard pressed of Spencer if I was to come up with the iron boulder without the escape rope.
And we did see a discard, by the way, on the Glade, which is a interesting choice.
That is, and also too, we've seen Pokegear before a card like, playing a card like Artisan.
I don't think he's recognized that Artisan is out yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
oh, whoa, bro! Escape rope is in the prizes.
Oh, Gladian here. He has to be identifying that, but I think that's only 2 cards in Spencer's hand. He would need the energy and play the rope. Sliggoo has. Sorry, boys. I'm not sure how many cards in hand. It's right below my screen, or it's covering my screen.
He has 6 cards in hand.
Yeah, so I don't think that's happening.
And I would really like to see Spence hit. Wait, what did he grab? Did you see?
I did not.
I'm not gonna lie. The Wobbuffet promotion here, and he did not Artisan.
No.
Because like you could have got a Mimikyu, you could have got.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Mimikyu to kind of safeguard yourself. You could have split the energy. Instead of going all to the boulder here. Yeah, Togepi.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
but you know what? The only thing I don't like about the Wobbuffet promotion here is that it makes you have to find Gust because Escape Rope is in the prizes,
Mm-hmm.
or you have to find Mystery Energy, which I guess
Yeah.
getting the Mystery Energy on the Wobbuffet isn't the worst thing in the world. Um, but that's
You still
also
kind of
just
leave yourself to a place later where you have to find the mystery, um, or with Floatstone accounted for, you have to find the rope,
mhm.
or Guzma to get around that. And I mean, sure, you have Curlia, but Gallade, notably was discarded last turn too.
Yeah, which that tells me that he's probably holding a recovery card in hand,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I think he knows the value of getting the Gallade.
Spence
Mm-hmm.
making
But
some
again,
interesting hand motions. I don't know what the interaction just went down there, but he's
Yeah, I
just
would.
realized that he
This is the
messed
game I
something up.
protected here.
Yeah.
this is like a really interesting spot too because like he's really like by putting the Wobbuffet up, like you're not slowing down um Count too much because what can do right here is he can just sit back and power up all his attackers with the arch or the Duraludon.
Mm-hmm.
And because that first attack is I cannot stress this enough. I mean, uh, I get aggravated with it from playing control against him because it's so good at just preventing energy denial. And we get the Cynthia. Oh my goodness, we get the Cynthia Caitlin to have that in the discard pile, so we can fuel the first attack, which is fantastic. We'll get the skateboard next turn, guarantee. And now it's like, maybe Spencer is holding on to something, but Count is positioning himself to be able to really um, start building up those attackers.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. With Wobbuffet having 2 retreat in there, you can afford if you're Count to come up there and Metal Sharpener 2 times, maybe even 3. We know that, like we said, Escape Rope is in prizes. Floatstone is committed, so that
Mm-hmm.
means that Mystery Energy and Guzma are 2 out of 60 cards, and out of 58 cards unaccounted for that Spencer has available to even move the Wobbuffet. So
Yep.
Count can get really ahead with and it looks like
Or
he's
we
just
just
going
evolve
straight
into the
into the
Archaludon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's just literally putting all his resources
Mm-hmm.
to the Archaludon right now, and that might signify that he might have a strong Gust play coming up soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I do
Again,
like that the Flowstone's on the Archaludon from Spence's point of view, because that means that you can tag it with the Dusclops if you have to.
mm-hmm. And we do see the tails flip to pass the turnover.
Mm-hmm. Spence has Field
Oh,
Blower.
he's holding
Can't
on the
look like.
blower.
Yeah, he if I'm Spencer, I would not play Field Blower and bail Count out of getting that Floatstone off of the Archaludon right now.
Yeah,
I think that would be almost the worst thing that he could do.
yeah,
We see a Rizu in the hand, or okay, that was from the.
yeah. No, so he finally uses Artisan.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Buying Togepi. Um, I think that's okay. I would really like to, because like we said, Count has 4 stadiums in the deck. Count is in a prime position here to use his Artisan and then go into one of his stadiums that he wants, like a parallel or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think Spence has to be mindful of that. So I would really like to have seen like possibly Mimikyu, um, just to kind of mitigate the damage that a Gust play from Sliggoo would, you know, like you were talking about. Maybe he has a strong Gust play.
And I don't know. Okay, so he's got a judge. Yeah, and look, I think your odds at getting that Wobbuffet out of the active is pretty low.
Getting
But at
pretty
Yeah,
low.
least
because you're gonna have to find the mystery energy and commit it to the Wobbuffet, and at that point, with refinement being used already, you're not gonna be able to match hand sizes after that unless if you find Professor's Letter.
Right.
But correct me if I'm wrong. I think Spencer played Professor's Letter already, so I think that is the only card outside of a Timer Ball double heads that can bring you +2 immediately from the Curse Kiss archetype.
Yeah, and then also not having access to the Gallade either was interesting.
Yeah, you could have grabbed,
Gust.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be really great, like for him to end the turn with a TM Evo play here.
I would love that.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, because at that point too, Wobbuffet becomes an attacker.
Yeah, so we just see a pass.
That's very tough. Sliggoo looking in the discard pile. Not out of the ordinary from a control player, but maybe he's eyeing up Versus Seeker kind of angle.
Yeah, he does have Versus Seeker in hand.
Sinlin. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
he's
think
going to try
right
to
here,
play around the boulder even some more.
Yeah, just building that hand up. I think you have to get tenacity here, right? Yeah. Because like you just like hope and pray that the Jirachi wakes up within the next 2 flips.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I don't know. Or that you draw a Gust. Or not.
Yeah, no energy being committed from Spencer that turn was
that's
pretty
huge.
rough.
Yep. We see the reversal on the Malmetal. So that thing's rocking and rolling. He's getting time to set up his Artisan. I mean, we're getting max mileage out of Artisan this game from everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like kind of what you were saying too. If Sliggoo was able to just like kind of weather the storm at first and set all the way up, he's thinning a lot of cards out of his deck, so he's going to be in a position to get to some of like the things that are going to be win cons, and all it's really going to take is just 1 or 2 more turns of just letting Wobbuffet sit in the active and just passively building your stuff up, like you said. Like Sliggoo was able to build up 2 attackers. From the time that Wobbuffet was in the active.
Oh, we got a rare candy. Oh, but
discarding
like
Kuzma and Mimikyu.
Oh my, yeah, that's a little rough.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, the rare candy, like he has rare candy into Dustnor. Maybe he's realizing the Dustnor is prized.
I gotta be honest, I'm not even sure what the rare candy into Dustnor would do there. No,
I don't know either.
Is there something I'm missing?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I would really have liked to. I mean, even if you're not playing around the hand size thing, you can really sit on. Like, I would have really liked to see, especially with Gallade down. You're gonna be in a spot where you're gonna have to. Yeah, that's absolutely heinous.
I don't even think you. Yeah, because I think right here, man, I don't know. I just don't get the Guzma discard.
Yeah, because that's your now you only have mystery energy. Sliggoo can just ignore the Wobbuffet on the attacking tip and just kind of trap Spence other ways to have a win con, right?
Well, his like 100% his win con here is now you can just straight up Gus trap the Wobbuffet over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
Because you only have VS Seeker, and once Mystery Energy goes down, like there's Plumeria.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, I love the position that Sliggoo's in right now.
Yeah, Dialga on the board, Jirachi's going to be able to dig and find these. Well, actually, no, it's not because there's no abilities, but it's just going to be sitting there. It's going to look like, so Rare Candy obviously is in the hand. He surprised the Dusknoir is what we're taking from that.
Yeah, and I mean, he
Well,
probably
yeah,
knew
this
too,
is,
right? Because he played Gladian
Gladian.
earlier. So
yeah, because we noticed the rope. That was because it was the far card in the right. It was the one closest to us. I seen the rope. I did not see any other prizes. Which playing 3 stage 2s in the deck, that's naturally just gonna happen sometimes. That's why Gladian is in the deck.
Do you remember what he grabbed off the Gladian?
yeah, for sure. I don't think any of us got a clear shot of it, really.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, because now he's got Gallade and Mimikyu in the discard pile, so he's really going to be fishing for Tulip. But again, like using Tulip on those two Pokemon, like that's giving you more
Your
outs
Stretcher.
to be able to.
Yo, did
Stretcher.
he just discard the Night Stretcher for 2?
He discarded the Rescue Stretcher for 2.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So now Tulip, it's just Tulip and Night Stretcher now. With those 2 bodies, Energy Denial we know is in Sliggoo's deck, and
Yep.
we were kind of talking about needing the Stretcher and the Tulip just for the energies when things, and maybe the game's too far gone at that point. Like if it gets to that where you're like fishing for those just to recur your energies, but in a scenario where Wobbuffet is in play, I think that's you're gonna be in a spot where
Night
okay,
Stretcher's gone.
I think you have to grab Glade here.
Yep. Yeah, and I should have said this too. Like from a control perspective, a lot of players think that the Wobbuffet is like a great tool because it will shut off whatever we're trying to do. But ultimately, like Wobbuffet is like one of the best things to trap in the
Trap
active spot.
targets. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I like literally like salivate once I'm playing Eggmill and somebody drops Wobbuffet against me. I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay, there it is, win con. And like abilities just don't matter after a certain point. And we're really seeing that kind of comeback. I think there's a world where Spence was looking too for an opportunity to like knock out. He could go Duskull and then knock out with Wobbuffet.
Mm-hmm.
That's clearly a play that could have happened. Okay,
Oh.
boom.
Marnie into Mystery. We know the hand is the same at this point. Like I was saying though before, you're staring at Melmetal and the Archaludon, I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Coming back, but you do have Togekiss in play.
Yeah, you want to just like put him on the clock now at this point. Yep. And the Natu's down too, so he can potentially get the Zatu going for the Energy Excel. D Valley is
just one there. Wonder Kiss not procking. Sorry.
Is D Valley down?
D Valley is not down.
No.
Okay. You gotta hate that for Spence for flipping the tails there.
Mm-hmm.
Because now he's walking into like a pretty big disadvantage at that point. He's just got to keep up the recursion. But there's a world where he can just keep on keeping on. He's gonna have to use Lucamine to get the Guzma back though.
Yeah, absolutely. Count playing his own Lucamine. Didn't see the targets there.
I missed it as well.
See Pokédoll. Artisan's still in play. Not super. I mean, maybe he has Meowth to still grab at this point. Yeah, just an attack.
Yeah, let's see what how Spence can respond here. Again, we're probably looking for a recursion and like just hitting into it, right? Um,
You really need Mimikyu for this next turn too, if you're able to deal with the Archaldon. Because that Melmetal, you're gonna be looking for another play like what was that game 2, game 1, where
Yep.
you know you're in a situation where you have to find the Evo TM again, and ironically, the Evo TM becomes the card you're looking for, not in turn 1, just because you're trying to copy the Melmetal attack cost, being that
yeah.
Floatstone is on that Dusk Ball.
There is a world here where Spence can come up with 170 again. He's gonna pop it for 160, right? Like because of the special energy.
Mm-hmm.
But then he could finish it off with Natu. Well, no, he wouldn't be able to de-evolve it because all of that requires him to evolve into the Xatu to get the attackers going.
It's true.
Yeah, if I'm Count here too, I want to start attaching like a little bit more energies to my board.
Mm-hmm.
I think he hasn't got energy attachments over the past maybe 2 turns, right?
Yeah, he kind of bought himself a lot of time from the promotion from Wobbuffet from Spence. I think I don't think he metal sharpened her. I think he was just manually attaching. Had that turn where he went into the Melmetal with the reversal and then just manually powering up the Archaldon. Having a few turns to do so is huge because that's control. Like that's really the one thing you have to ask for is just like the time to be able to play the game, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because I think you're at such an inherent disadvantage. Like if you're trying to play this like back and forth game of taking KOs, and just like giving you like extra, because like he still has counter energy available, right? Which is huge. And grant both decks play both counter and reversal. So there is like a little weird kind of interactions you have to like filter through. But regardless, you're giving just like turns to actually attach. And then there's going to be turns where Count could even come in with some energy disruption and kind of put a dampener on the board. But right now, we're looking at a board state that has the Gallade as a gust target too. That's another like prime example. You can attack, but you're not going to be able to consistently attack over and over with like shifting the energies to the back, and then also just like energy denial too, because like Glade is really bad into energy denial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, moving in energy. Sometimes you go Dimension Valley plus like counter or something, and then you're sitting with a Gallade in the active with 0 energy on it and 2 retreat.
We do see the tulip.
Yeah, it looks like the buddy catch was for the tulip.
Yep.
Mimikyu 2 energies. I didn't see the. Was it the Xatu or did he
The
have
boulder? Grab the boulder back. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Going to Mimikyu though, I do like the Mimikyu play here.
And the Xatu was already on board, so Clairvoyant Sense would put the energy on the Mimikyu. Still have an extra attachment for a turn. Gonna go on the Gallade, it looks like.
That tells me has Dimension Valley in hand.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to follow this knockout with. Oh well, okay.
Interesting.
He has to have Dimension Valley or else he's not attacking, right? Am I missing something?
No, you're not.
Okay.
Just playing through it. Mm-hmm.
Togekiss really gonna have to pull through here.
Yeah, exactly. Togekiss needs to Needs to come on.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that could happen here, though, if he does flip tails, that metal will not be attacking, because they'll be tied in prizes at that point.
Right.
So
Oh,
there's a world where that's okay.
yeah.
Maybe if Count has something like, I think it'll be telling if he puts up the doll because he could still get like a metal saucer plus attached return play here.
I think saucer's actually already accounted for this game. Yeah, I
Okay.
saw it early.
Yeah, he saucered to get the third energy on the Marshall.
Oh, in the dawn. I gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, I think you're in a spot where if you can survive this one turn with not getting hit with Metal, this is a perfect opportunity to pitch the Wobbuffet.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then what though? Just the Wob really is the only one that would have to go.
I don't think there's anything to even think about here.
I agree. I agree. Oh man.
Whoa. That's a display.
Yeah.
Because the thing is here, Gallade next turn would have to have been searching out Lucamine, in my opinion. I think you'd have to get the Tulip back, and you were gonna have to get the Dimension Valley back.
Yeah.
So if you were really that pressed about wanting to keep the Wobbuffet in play, I think that you could have like recurred that. You're not going to be able to just put back down the Xatu. Mm-hmm. But then again, too, maybe Xatu had it's quote unquote like enough value that maybe he sees a play where he can go like not to KO at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if I'm seeing that line on the board where he would swing short and leave the 10 or 20 HP left on on one of the guys. Because like we said, knowing Faba is in the list here, that's really tough. We know that every single out for Spencer to get out of the active is accounted for at this point.
You're probably dodging an attack this turn, though. It definitely is to be said. Looks like Marnie play, so nothing really to charge the extra energies into play. You know, no Rev Room in play right now, so we're not chugging through the deck anymore. So definitely in a decent spot.
I'm curious on what Count is looking for here. If he's like going to shift at all to
control,
to like actually taking, more control route at this point. But I have to imagine that the timer is like
yeah, I'm sure
it's getting low.
Absolutely.
4 apiece, so Spence can't be reactive this turn. He has to be very proactive with whatever he decides to do.
Yeah.
Guzman's already down 2, so we can't just go fetch it from the Glade gust into one of these other guys.
Wait, can you play that down with parallel?
No, you can't even play it down. I mean, it goes to hand off a Fog Crystal, so.
Yeah, I just didn't like getting rid of the Xatu there from the sake of
keeping the Wobbuffet around.
You just don't really have a great attacker like going into like the next.
Yeah, my thought was you're grabbing Lucamine off of the Gallade here and just slamming down, grabbing that Tulip back. And I think that grabbing back those energies as well would have been,
Lucamine.
There it's at. There it's at. There it is.
There it's at.
Yeah, because that kind of limits what kind of turn that, like, the peak kind of turn that Spencer could have here. You could afford to.
Ooh.
I don't like this at all. Yeah,
okay.
There we go.
All right.
Spencer is stressing me out right now.
He's
It's always a ride with us, boys. I mean, I know that it's easy to talk over and, kind of speculate and like kind of scrutinize a player too, but I myself played into Control the other day, and I know I had Ghouls feeling the same exact
I was about to throw up. I was screaming at the phone.
So it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Is why I say that with Control.
Yeah, I was gonna say like there. I mean, the harsh reality here is that like Spence has never played this matchup before,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and there's so many different cards to consider that you probably don't have to consider like playing against a more traditional deck.
Yeah,
And that's like the strong benefits. I mean, like Curse Kiss is on the come up, I would say, but like, you know, it might be unknown to like some people, but man, like, uh, Savior Machine, I think is what Count is calling the deck.
Yep.
Um, no, nobody has played that deck, except him, and so he is, I would say, in general, at an advantage from just like a matchup standpoint, strictly
Mhm.
based off of knowledge.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because I know that his locals, I want to say his locals, maybe there was a Curse Kiss that won, one time. So I
Yeah.
know that they,
I was familiar with the deck. Him and
yep,
Espio are very high on the Curse Kids archetype as well.
yep. So we got a
So
Filch.
I'm not going to
Filch.
surprise Count with anything here.
Wait, what?
What's happening here?
He just filched.
Mm.
And then he took it back.
Wait, what?
Can't take it back after you.
Did he look at the cards?
We may be discussing Tom.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure what happens in a scenario like this where the matchup does go to time. I'm not sure if there's because
Plus 3 turns
it can't
or
just be a tie, right? Because it's a playoff game.
no. Yeah, exactly. So normally how this would play out if by Pokemon standards, which is what for all accounts they're pushing to play as. You should have like a +3 turn system. So one player would be turn 0, turn 1, turn 2, and then turn 3. And then the game at that point, because we are in a top scenario where one player has to advance, the game would go until the next prize were taken. So
I see.
if at that point, if at the point of 3 turns there's not a prize discrepancy, then the next prize taken would win the game.
So they don't do like the like back when I like played competitive, like they did like a straight up you shuffle and start at one.
Nope.
They don't do that anymore.
Nope. That was
Okay.
changed basically because of the end to 1.
Yeah, that was. I might have won a few games like that.
I'm sure. Sure you have.
I believe it. Oh gosh.
Oh
We
boy.
see the metal
Whoa,
energy.
whoa.
Oh man.
Coming. That smells trouble for Spencer here.
I want to see. Well, does he have a Guzma? Like, because that would be gnarly. Or a Gust.
And it doesn't look like it. He just retreats up into it.
Yeah.
So Spencer's going to have to knock out with the boulder here. So really have to pay attention to hand sizes.
No attack announced yet. Doesn't look like.
Is the prize race still 4-4?
Just changed to
Just
3 to 4 by unless I missed something.
Yeah, it's 3 to 4.
Yep.
And you got to wonder, he's not able to match hand size here. Got to wonder how much the Zatu play capture to Gallade.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Valley is
In hand,
down
right?
again.
Or go down again. Did
He could have played his teammates down.
Yeah, I believe so.
Looks like he's checking his discard pile right now. I don't see teammates in there. Unless if he had to
No.
Ultra Ball or
No, I
like pitch
agree.
it on a obscure.
No, the pitch for the Ultra Ball was the Guzma, so teammates should still be live
True.
But he attached.
versus Seeker.
Okay, so versus Seeker for Lucamine.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Makes sense to me. I would just be grabbing Tulip again.
Tulip.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a crazy card. Like Tulip is
Tulip is insane, especially for just matching hand sizes. I'm a huge fan of Arizu in this deck because of that also.
Yeah.
Because Arizu is one of those cards where you can go +3 out of nowhere also.
yeah.
Tulip was a
without
card that for a
any
long
involved.
time, was not like regarded highly as, one of the cards that you had to play in a psychic build. We see
Yeah.
Nessa be like a always include in water for the
Yeah.
most part, but Tulip has not really seen that until recently. Another tails flip on Togekiss is brutal, brutal.
Yeah, because
but
that could put him down to 1.
Yeah,
Count is not in a good spot though.
right.
Yeah, is that
Right,
just the Dialga in play?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I do agree.
Yeah.
Spencer does need another energy to move the Gallade, though. I didn't get a great grasp on what is down. We know that Tulip is in hand, though.
Well, he could just attach
Plus
his
Buddy
swing
Catch.
if he doesn't have the bump.
This is true.
Yeah, as much as we were talking negatively about the Wobbuffet, we could be seeing the long-lasting effects of having that stuck active.
right.
I mean, we don't have the Rev Room established.
This is true. That was stopping that Stellar Wish for as
Turn
long as
after
it
turn
was.
after turn. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that is very true. And Dejirachi stayed asleep, stuck there also. So I do agree with you. Maybe that was a better play than we thought. I will stand on that. Getting the Wobbuffet out instead of the Xatu would have been a better play at this point. Especially grabbing that
multiple
twice.
tulips. Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been freak nasty, getting into some really stable, like not having any gust targets and just saying, hey, I'm gonna match your hand every single turn, or have be able to swing with any of my guys that are on the board.
Yeah, because in hindsight, looking back at it, and knowing what we know now, being able to play the Gallade for the Lucamine on the exact turn right after the Parallel City comes into play, it definitely was a chance to just allow for that Xatu to stay around, and then still could have bumped the stadium, still could have kept the Wobbuffet in play. Just the mystery energy. Maybe that's what's being valued most in all of this, but. I'm hard pressed.
He gone in the blink of an eye.
Exactly.
Yeah. With Faba and something like a gust play happens later, you're gonna have to find 2 for the Wobbuffet to move it. And,
right.
Seeing all those resources down.
Well, we just saw the field blower.
And a field blower on top of that with counter energy on Duraludon Duraludon at this point. I'd imagine the second Pokemon he grabbed there was the Archaeodon.
Sure.
Well, he's going to be able to lean into, that whole just tanking concept because, holy cow.
That is
unprized. Yep.
Huge.
Out of the prize cards.
It looks like Sliggoo is just contemplating life right now.
Judge to guarantee it. Here we go, boys.
This has literally happened to Sliggoo every single situation, like every time.
Yeah.
Where he's gone down to like, oh, I'm gonna build up this guy, but I only have one guy on the bench.
Yeah.
Like every time Spence has had like the out, it feels like.
Yeah, no, I do agree, except for the time where it was prized, but now, take a couple prizes, it's an out again.
It's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. And then I think Spence can afford to play one card here. If he drew into an energy, I would like him to draw into it or like attach it to the Gallade.
And then fetch a supporter
and then
with
that
the
way
Gallade.
He can't because of 4 and 4.
Did he fetch the Judge with the Gallade though? That's what.
Oh, he did?
I think
I thought he had
another
Tails
tails.
again.
Man.
Togekiss could have won the game. Hopefully, I have a better showing with Togekiss tomorrow as far as the heads front.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like prioritizing, we know what he kind of had to sell himself pretty short to grab that play. And it wasn't even the play he was looking for. We assumed he was looking for Dusknoir earlier, but had to settle for the Togekiss into the rare candy kind of play. And
Is blower accounted for from Spence?
I do not know.
No. I'm gonna guess that Sliggoo knows though, and that's a definite indication him putting the cape on probably that it is not accounted for, or that it is accounted for rather.
It also might be the only thing he has.
Sure.
Because I think Arvin might be gone. I can't remember. From Spence.
I do not remember seeing Arvin played from Spencer this game.
Okay.
I was looking for it off of the Poke Gear earlier, but I think it ended up being the Gladian.
Yeah.
And the Tulip is back in deck at this point.
There's
there it is. Dude, he had it roll too. With the energy attachment. 3.
Heads wins the game. Looks like he's looking for a dice to roll. Wow.
That's brutal.
Absolutely heinous.
Another tails.
Another tails.
Camera froze up on me. I had to get it back, but that makes sense after hearing the reactions.
What is Sliggoo looking for here?
The door.
I mean, don't maybe see the way out here. Like unless if you have, like, and I'm not even sure if this is in deck. If you have counter catcher into Faba, then that's the only out that I see here.
There's a Guzma.
But we know that.
Yep.
He just also needs to bench another Pokemon. Oh, wow.
Just play Guzma?
What was that?
He just played Guzma?
Looked like he just played Guzma, but Spence didn't bring anything up.
Is he Guzman in passing?
But he didn't.
Spence is playing cards here.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Nothing came up off of the Guzma. I don't see Guzma went to the discard pile, so it must have stayed in hand.
Okay, there's the switch. He's probably just saying I have the energy. Well, because, like, there should be an energy in the discard pile at this point. It's an assumption, but all he needs to do is buddy catch for 1 and can retreat to the Gallade.
What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think it's got 3 on it now. We only have 2.
2. Counter energy and the basic psychic is on the Gallade at the moment.
Yep.
Okay. And let's see. Sliggoo has 3 cards in hand.
I believe reversal is still unaccounted for.
So,
we do know that Floatstone is accounted for.
How many cards is in Spence's hands right now?
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm not catching.
Quite a bit, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there's 5. Oh, he's just trying to see if he can manually retreat.
So Guzma had to have been played then for this Togekiss to be in the active. Yeah.
He could have just checked with buddy catch if he had it. Yep, and that should be game. Bench out.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, taking the dog.
Taking the win.
Well,
Tell him to roll with Togekiss just for the sake of our entertainment.
well, he doesn't get to take a prize to begin with, though.
Oh, that is true. Okay. Look at Spencer. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, he's gonna need a cold bath after this one. I know
Yeah,
that was.
for sure.
That was
He
definitely.
did roll it. He rolled it anyway. Rolled another
so
tails.
Yeah, he had to have known Lee Hoffman was talking about that at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what a great game. I know.
Yeah.
I know if I was Count, I'd probably be like a little hot with like just like Spence just had it. There's not much you can do at that point. He had those turns where he was held up with the Wobbuffet, and as slow as that made the game go, I mean, it really showed. It, I guess, like Spence just was able to develop his board like more than what Count was, and trade for trade. Uh, I don't think Count was ever able to get those tools to stick like I think he really wanted to have.
Yeah.
And we just saw the Archralodon, or I'll just call him the Don because I'm butchering it. The Don go down right to like the Dusclops
Yeah.
to the attack. Um, and it was unfortunate that he just couldn't piece that together. And it's tough. I mean, from a control standpoint, Dusknoir is really hard to deal with, and it just puts so much pressure on like your whole board. Um, and it's crazy. Like even through that, like Spence flipped. Was it 4 tails?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think
So
it was maybe 5.
well, it was 5 at the end. I think if you count that
Oh
last
yeah,
one.
because one of the knockouts was on a Dust Clubs plate now or Dust One plate. Maybe I'm tripping.
But
Did he have to attack all 6 times?
yes,
Yeah.
he did. But
No,
he had
He did.
the last attack was just on the doll, so it wasn't any prizes,
Oh, I
but
remember.
it was a pinch out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't. Again, I know I'm, uh, solid with control, but it was interesting that no lines were found there from Count. I think maybe there could have been a world where he shifted. We saw several times where Spence was super low on resources, and then I think maybe there's a world where Count could have shifted to attacking that resource versus just trying to take the prize. Um, but the Dialga was then never able to really sustain anything. Again, Spence did a great job at just like keeping on the gas, um, and just like making it where he couldn't keep up. As soon as he actually started pushing forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your take from like a first kiss perspective after
I
seeing the
mean,
matchup?
it was just cursed. It wasn't Kiss. There was a couple times where I thought Spence maybe had made like an overextension or a wrong play, but like he just really wasn't punished for anything. Sliggoo
Yep.
didn't go into energy denial at any point that the in any of those games, unless if I missed a little bit out of the second game. Um, and a part of that was right here in my notes. The very second thing I have for Curse Kiss is fast out the gate. Um, if you're able to put pressure all 3 games, turn 1 going first or going second, attached with Iron Boulder. In one of the instance, Dimension Valley attach Iron Boulder. Um, just a lot of pressure on any kind of deck, let alone control. So maybe he was like forced out of some of those routes. But I think that overall, Spence played a fantastic game, 3 games.
Yep.
Yep.
He definitely had some fortune on his side with some misfortune. We've seen a lot of ups and downs, but I think that it showed the testament of like curse kiss in a box, like not needing necessarily the 3 stage 2 guys, and it can still kind of, function without them, but it becomes a fantastic deck when you have access to all of your tools in your 3 stage 2 guys, plus, the support in the Natu, Zatu line, and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, I think we saw like how crazy the match could have been, literally, if any of those were heads. That could have been like really devastating. Um, and from like a Sligo's deck, it was really cool to see. Number one, him be able to qualify for the tournament with this deck. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else he like comes up with for the deck. I'm sure he's going to be able to take notes and really be able to clean some things up. I'm excited to see like kind of maybe what his solution is for the matchup moving forward. I think like maybe the inclusion of like Flare Grunt would be really strong, maybe over Fabo. And so that way, like he can maybe lean a little bit into it. I know for me personally, from a control perspective, I really prefer having both Flare Grunt and Plumeria. So like those turns, like where I might need to hit like Surge or something else like that. Um, I can like hit 2 energies off and like be ahead. But I mean, looking at Count's list, I don't even think he plays Surge, which
Yeah,
is
I don't
pretty
think
wild.
that's Surge in there either.
Yeah,
The reversal, the counter and stuff, like he kind of opens himself up to being like, hey, I got these big guys that can get in there if something's going like a little bit too wrong. And
yeah,
I do agree with the flare grunt kind of angle. We know, like you said, Count is a student of the game, and premiering a type like this and being able to comment over it's super exciting because, like you said, nobody's seen this deck in action. Count's the
hmm
only person on the planet playing this 60, and
sure,
I played against it. Very unique list. Some really cool and flexible win conditions and some really neat tools you have in there. And walking into the game, like you might just see the Dialga and the Jirachi, and you might just walk into some shit. Like you might
yeah,
not even realize that you're playing against control and really overextend yourself, and then next turn you're like, whoa, what happened? Your hair's all crazy and you don't know what happened.
yeah. You got zapped by the control.
Mhm.
No, for sure. I think there's definitely like a lot of cool things with the list. Um, I think man, like I don't know, there's just like a lot of routes, like you said, like a lot of things that you can trap people with. Um, and the games could have gone differently, to be honest, if there wasn't the escape rope at the right time, or
Absolutely. If
like
Count was
there's
even sitting on, one of the teammates or reversal energy, Spencer really put it all on the table and just said, "You ain't got it, Chief," and was really aggressive with some of those early plays. Like,
yeah,
he opened himself up to a game loss. What was that, game 2 or game 3 when he did that? He could have just ended his season on that, and I think that takes some real grit. So,
yeah. No, and you know what? The big thing there too was that, looking at his list, like I would assume from Count's perspective, you would want to go early Berserker,
mhm.
to like start getting it, because like with control, like you have, I think what we've seen for all of the really top control decks is that they aim to shut you down really quick. Like,
Yeah,
there was a world where control was very much like, oh, let me sit back, let me fall behind, and then I'll start slowly setting up and doing whatever, blah, blah,
yeah,
blees.
that proactive control scares me.
Yep.
No,
It,
absolutely, I know exactly where you're going with that.
yeah. And that's what Count's deck tries to do through the Berserker. And we saw game one, it seemed like it was prized. I don't think we ever got actual confirmation. And then game three, at least, the it was either game 2 or 3. Sorry, I'm forgetting. But like he started with it. It was like, oh, this is sick. There was an energy attached to it. It was like, let's go. And then Spence had the D Valley knockout on it, and then at that point, like you kind of have to go back to Scramble City and try to, get back on your feet.
Yeah, I mean, 3 stage 2s in the deck. I mean, that obviously would be super strong getting into Berserker and,
Mhm.
just seeing the stage 1s or, holding the stage 2. Maybe you see the Candy, um, hitting the energy. Maybe you see like the Tuliper Stretcher. So many cards of value that he can. And it's not even just that you're discarding them, you're also giving Count the information that he needs, and that's like almost as good as discarding it, right? Like certain cards, because then
Yeah,
he knows like what angle he has to take. He knows if disruption's coming. He can make an educated guess of like what attack you're capable of launching, and that's just like we say all the time. Testament of a good GLC player is just the knowledge.
Right.
You just gotta know
yeah,
what's coming.
yeah, exactly. Like having hand knowledge, especially when you're playing something like Control,
Mm-hmm.
goes such a long way. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about like, you can then shift to like attacking their resources, or you can shift to like, oh well, like maybe like let me just lay back with Jirachi for a second and set up. Like, there's there's a lot of things you can do, and it was unfortunate that we didn't get to see any Meowth
Mm-hmm.
or Berserker. So, but
I
anyway,
was I was rooting for that card.
I was
Obviously
pretty
we're to
hyped for
root
it.
for
Yeah,
our boy, but like I wanted to see that card get a little bit of shine because leading up into it, like that was like
One of the biggest fear factors.
yeah,
Right.
like
yep,
outside of the goggles, that was the second thing I was really worried about because I'm like, yo, like you can hit anything,
yeah.
turn one going second or
I think it was
turn
just
two going first. Sorry.
I think it's just like an insane testimony, like that, like the goggles were never able to come
No.
up, and
Yeah.
because I know that was like a big part of his strategy, like leaning into that, and then the one time that he was able to lean into the cape again, Blower was there,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
but I just want to say like great games, like both players I think played really well, um, and it's such a treat to be able to like sit back and watch such a high caliber of players play, and us see like really fun matchups. Like I, it's like one
Absolutely.
of those.
This is
Yeah,
the lights are the brightest right now. This is the Async League playoffs. People dedicate weeks, months of time into playing and preparing and winning 4 games in a row in a league with the best players in the world on a server is no small potatoes. Like that is nothing to scoff at. And I wanted to say too, congratulations to Count Sliggoo for the innovation and
yep,
creativity, and just the drive and passion to just push himself to put himself in a position where he's in the playoffs with a handmade archetype where it's like hey, this is mine, this is what I do. And I think that's the coolest part of GLC. All the skill expression and like showing your personality, um, 1,000 different ways to show that, and there's no other cooler way than bringing your own cook to the bringing your own plate to the cookout.
it's definitely a power move for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, certified. Yeah, I just jump on that. Like, yeah, big shout out to Count. I mean, I don't know many other people who are more of a student of the game, and what a testimony to him to be able to qualify. Um, you know, with with that deck. Like, it wasn't like this season where you could just say, "Oh, I have the most wins." It was like,
Yeah.
no, like you actually have to straight up win a badge,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
undefeated, and so that was cool. And then also shout out to Spence, like, um, it's really cool being able to show off, the curse kiss, and um,
We have more curse kids
I
coming the rest of the week, so that's
yep,
definitely
Absolutely.
your
Yeah,
boy
and
Lee's
that
playing
that
tomorrow.
opens up the door for me to insert this. I'm not sure when the video is going to come out
Right.
or if we're live or whatnot, but I am playing my game against Ron tomorrow against the full grip 3K winning list, and I'm playing with the same exact 60 outside of the Natu pre-evolution line of Kurskis. And yeah, super excited to put on a show for you guys tomorrow.
And then I'm going to throw it in here. Ghoulies will be Friday night. We're going to try to do the same thing for his game. So for everyone who's hanging out with us here at the very last bits, the waning bits of the stream, definitely stay tuned for the rest of the week because we've got a lot more coming with these playoffs and all of our guys being in the playoffs. And then, we're going to send one of our own, see him off to NAIC at the end of the week. So definitely excited for Ghouls to go and hopefully put up a good showing there too. But guys, is there anything else that, you want to say or mention before we get out of here on everybody?
Shout out to TBS, our team. Gino's real boss hog there. So shout out to him. And
saw him out on screen tonight with Spence. So
and shout out just the team, and we're excited for what's to come. So we've got a bunch of like really we just have a lot of stuff we're excited about. And just stay tuned. We eat, sleep, and breathe GLC. So I'm excited to kind of like share our like headspace with the rest of the world. So
all right, guys. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest